Good morning. I guess the lights took my thunder. You all quieted down. Welcome to the Computer Club. If you watched some of the pictures prior to me coming up here, those were of this year's Oshkosh Air Show, and they've got 10,000 planes that they fly in there. It's run all by volunteers, and it works perfectly. Sort of like this club, isn't it? So it's August 11th, and these are your trivia months or weeks that you'd like to maybe make note of. The next to the last one's pretty good. Happiness Happens Monthly. And obviously, we all like to eat a little bit of fish, so it's National Catfish Month. So this is our lineup for today. I know, it still comes out black.
It's changed the way.
Okay. And we are now looking at the finances for the club. We're still solid. Thank you very much. And now for some of our matters. The meeting for this month is, we're going to talk about OneDrive and Win 10 possibly, and Defender by Dan Ray. Upcoming classes in September. I'll do this as a cautionary note. The board has to approve the parking lot improvements on the 22nd of this month. But assuming that they vote favorably on that, then the parking lot at the wood shop and the Meadowview Lodge plus the Arcadia public parking will be refurbished in September. And they're going to tear the blacktop up, put a new footing down, and then put new blacktop. That's all going to take about 2 weeks to complete. So we don't know when they are going to start. That is weather dependent and board approval dependent, but it will be in September. And therefore, while the Meadowview Lodge is closed, the club will be closed. So don't break your computers for 2 weeks in September. We're always looking for those of you that are ambidextrous, and that I mean by PC and Apple literate. You can come in and volunteer in the lab anytime you'd like. Volunteer driven. And you can donate your equipment, and we can dispose of it appropriately. We can clean it. We take care of it. Our membership is actually 1577. That was an update. This is August 1. We've already had 17 additional members join since August 1. We talked a little bit about the parking lot, and Ralph will talk about classes a little bit later and how we're going to navigate classes which are typically held in the club room with regard to the parking lot. The budget is the next topic, and as I look out, I know we have a quorum here today. We're required to take a vote of approval for the budget, and I would like to put forward this budget for you for your consideration. The left-hand column was 18, the right-hand column is 19. If there are any questions about this, feel free to bring them up now. I know it's sudden, right? But we need to go through this annually. And do I hear a motion for approval of the budget?
So made.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Good. Thank you very much. One thing of note, you might want to note that we are no longer using Constant Contact, and that's why the line for That's why the line for PC and electronic delivery is reduced from 19 to 15 or 14. Next order of business is we need to approve a slate of officers. John?
It's that time of year again when we have to vote for officers. Dave has already checked and we do have a quorum, so the vote will be legal. Is everybody happy with the officers we had for the last year? I've got some good news for you. We were able to convince 3 of the officers to run again for next year. So our slate of officers is Dave Ruby for president, Howie Huckstead for treasurer, and Molly Frithioff for secretary. And those are ones that are the current officers. And then for vice president, Bill Fritz. Are there any more nominations from the floor? I don't see any, and I hear total silence. So let's take a vote on this slate of officers. I also want to thank Jim Nelson. Jim's the outgoing vice president. So with this slate of officers, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed, step up and you can take one of the officers.
This is our topic for next meeting. We're going to have Scott Ravnig, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but he will be in talking about how the Huntley Fire Department, ambulance service, and safety use their computers and how they interface with all the other communities around here. So it will be a technical presentation with regard to how they use technology. It's not talking about trip, falls, and spills in our homes. Next up, I'd like to invite Joe Quinn for a few moments.
Dave wanted me to talk briefly about the new web page that we put up for the computer club. Briefly, it's up, it's running, and it's got good information. He didn't think that was enough, so.
Oh, here's the ticker.
Now you can't quite reach up to that screen. Which one is it? This is for it?
To the right.
There's a, can't see the screen
From here. Up in the top right-hand corner, this is the website for Sun City. Up in the top right-hand corner is where you log in.
Here, Joe, why don't you use the portable mic?
Joe. You're too close to it there.
That's better.
There's a pointer on it.
Yeah, I know, but I can't get the strike. There we go. Wrong way.
A little button in the middle, like a top.
No, he's wanting to go back to his slides.
We'll get it. Come on, there we go. Okay, when you go into it. Okay, you have where it's colored here in the.
There you go.
Okay, let me back this thing up here. There we go. When you go into it, you sign in with your member's number and your password. That's one of the 2 things that we have limited capability to help you in the computer lab with. You need to remember your passwords. When you do that, you come to a drop-down menu where it says Lifestyles. You can see the arrow on the right. You drop down, you go to Clubs, and then Charter Clubs. You click on Charter Clubs, and you come to a thing here, and then you click down where the arrow is for the computer club. And this is the page that we put up. And it has a couple of different things on it. It has obviously the calendar events, calendar club classes, the Apple Club, and the photo group. It also has some other things in it for like the membership application down here in the bottom. When you click on the calendar of events, this is what you get, and if you look up in the top right-hand corner, if you click on one of the events, you get a dialog box like that with the information, with description and times and stuff like that. This calendar, which is the events, also includes the classes. There doesn't have to be any classes in August if they don't show up. You go back and you click on the calendar, the class unit where the arrow is, and you get this is a September, and it shows the classes. Again, the description, the instructor, the times are on this calendar. The Apple Group, this is the Apple Group page, okay? If you go to the photo group, this is the new photo group page. Actually, this is not the one that you'll see if you look at it today. It actually has changed since then because we try and keep it dynamic and up to date. It's got the new logo on it. And then this is just to say the latest information is there. And if you need any help on it, I don't want to take up a lot of time today, you can come into the computer lab and we can discuss it. Thank you.
Okay, now I gotta get back. I'm gonna here.
No?
Yeah, you had it, community activities. The wrong way.
I know I'm going the wrong way. There, we're up to training. Ralph?
Yeah.
Ralph, do you have some comments on training?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, Joe really did a good job on that calendar. He told me about it, I went on and looked, and I thought, that is really slick, because people always think, well, when are you gonna do this, when are you gonna do that? You know, I tell you, it's in the lab, it's on the monitors, it's on the monitor out in front of the lab. It's so simple, you can be sitting at home saying, I wonder what the classes are for September. Click on the calendar, and not only does it show when they are, when you click on them, it tells what they are. So real quickly, we have a couple of Android classes coming up in September, and once again, it's all based on the fact that we have the full month of September, and if the dates come out and we have to change, just keep watching, go to the calendar, because we'll change the calendar. I have to check with the instructors and make sure they can change from maybe the 7th to the 18th or whatever it's going to be. But that'll be the quickest thing that we will change, will be the calendar that's on this Computer Club website. But Steve's going to have a couple of Android classes. One is on the 6th of September, another one's on the 26th, and both of his classes are at 7 o'clock at night. We're going to have a couple of iPhone, iPad classes. One of them will be on Monday the 10th at 1 o'clock in the lab, and the other one will be on the 17th at 1 o'clock. But the second one will not only be iPad, iPhone, it's going to be how to manage photos on your iPhone and iPad. So, I mean, constantly people are coming in, they want to move photos, they want to change them, they want to delete them. You'll be able to find out a lot more on how to manage the photos on your iPhone and iPad. Then we have a class on Google Docs. I don't know much about this. This is Google's word processing application that can be downloaded on the Windows, Android, iPhone, and iPad machine. So I think I'll go to it and figure maybe the next time we have it, I'll know a little bit more about it. And then on the 26th, we got a class on if your computer's running slow. And I know Joe will say, don't tell them how to do that because they're going to mess it up. You know, the nice thing about it, if you mess up your computer trying to figure out how to do it, bring it in the lab, we'll fix it. But it is some ideas. I've been to this class before. There's some ideas on there that can, you know, you can do daily, weekly, or monthly, you know, just to kind of help run it a little bit smoother. And we're working on October. I've only got one class set for October. I'm working on possibly, I know we're going to have a basic Windows 10 class, might have an eBay class. There's several other of the instructors who are talking about doing classes in October and November. So once again, the best place to go is on the new calendar that Joe put on the Computer Club website, and you can see everything we got coming up. Thanks.
Ralph? How do you sign up for classes?
John wanted to know how you sign up for classes. You don't. It's first come, first served. The problem with signing up, we have that in a lot of things. If you haven't paid any money and you sign up and then the time comes to go and say, oh, I think I'll watch a ball game, I'm not going to go. we may turn people away because we think we have a full class and, somebody just doesn't show up. So it's first come, first served. Now, we've only had 2 subjects where we had to turn people away that I can remember. One of them was one class was on Windows 10 when it first came out. I mean, we were bizarre with people. And the other one was on cut the cable. So other than that, there hasn't been a problem with seating in the lab. We can get 44 total in the lab. Sounds like a lot, but it's pretty full. But we can do that. So no sign up, just show up.
Thank you, Joe and Ralph. Okay, there are some summer concerts that still need to have your attendance. If you were at the one this past week, you probably got a little bit of rain on you if you stayed, but it was still a good concert. We have a Thursday indoor concert on the 16th. If you've got your tickets, you're welcome to come. If you don't have your tickets, it's sold out. That's here in Grendel, and that's the concert band. Obviously, the free concerts outside can take all comers, and that's on the 23rd and the 30th. So feel free to join your residents, your fellow residents over at the amphitheater. These are community bulletins, and volunteers. You need to register if you'd like for the volunteer appreciation event. And obviously you're welcome at the board meeting on August 22nd at 9 a.m. And the September board meeting is on the 26th at 9 a.m. So now we will move forward to today. We are welcoming Dan Ray back, and he is he's been a speaker here prior to this, very knowledgeable, worked for Microsoft, now he works for another company, but he's still knowledgeable. And he's going to talk to us about OneDrive and a few other things. Welcome, Dan. Thank you very much for volunteering to come.
So how many folks have been to a presentation that I've given prior? Just show of hands. Many people have. So this may or may not work, but I'm going to give away a Chromebook to anybody that fills out a survey. So if you have a phone or a laptop or a device with you, you're going to be incented to fill this out by going to document could not be created because I'm not on wireless. Little things that I should have set up ahead of time. The ledge?
Yeah, I said.
Awesome. Thank you. I got on one device, but I didn't think to put the iPad on. So this gives you time to find that phone and get the phone out. You're going to go to a website, so you need a browser on the device that you choose, tablet, whatever.
9:22 a.m. That's going to be
We are going to create a PowerPoint here in OneDrive. We're going to make it pretty. Maybe. Let's go back to my gallery here. It's not picking up the design. We'll throw the design in here. From here, we'll do this one. And then you're going to go to Bitly in a browser, which is bit, if I can get my keyboard working here. We'll use this for now, bit.ly. /DREY first. And this in a browser should take you to a link. Let's see if I can select all here. You guys see that okay? So if you go to a browser, and I'll double check that this works from here. You end up at a survey, and you can provide me as much information or as little. And if you provide me too little information, you're not going to win the giveaway because I'm not going to know who it is that guessed right or wrong. But the quiz, hopefully I haven't told everybody or reminded everybody what my daughter's name is. My name is Dan Ray, R-E-Y. 27 and a couple months ago, I married my wife, Eva. And 20 years ago on our seventh wedding anniversary, which is how I do the math of how long I've been married, I add 7 to Sam's age, our son. We had Sam. Sam's given name is Samuel. My given name is Daniel. What we realized, I think after the last time I was here, is my daughter has Ray in her first name. R-E-Y is part of my daughter's first name. Your guess up here, do not call it out, please, because I want to also figure out what the #1 guess is from people that don't know what my daughter's name is. And this is a way to document that as opposed to just going from memory. You go to this form and you fill out a guess of what my daughter's first name is. So it's bit.ly /DREY 1ST or first. And you're guessing in that form what my daughter's first name is. If you provide me information about your name and your information that you want, you can also tell me whether you want me to email you or, I'm taking into account your privacy. This goes in an Excel file, which I will show you later. So if there are new entries, I can show you new entries and what I can do with that from an Excel perspective within OneDrive. But I want to start here to give people time, if you'd like to fill this out and participate. The Chromebook is an Acer, and it has a touch screen on it. It's a pretty nice piece of hardware. Question?
The Dre and ST is not in caps.
Thank you. It doesn't work if it's in caps?
No.
Okay.
It worked fine without caps.
Okay.
Everything was in lowercase.
Okay. I cut and pasted it from here, so I don't know why that didn't work. Oh, this is the style based on the theme.
Yeah.
So if I choose a different office theme, there we go. Come on. I have a keyboard attached to this. I don't know why the keyboard isn't functioning. Thank you. First. And we'll make it a bit small too. Anybody having problems getting there?
No.
Okay, if you're having problems getting there, raise your hand and have somebody that got there help you. There's 2 folks out here. If anybody is savvy at getting them, or if anybody would like to borrow somebody else's device that's already at this address, all you have to do is fill it out. It's a form that you're filling out. So feel free to borrow somebody else's device if you'd like to get in on the drawing. We will do the drawing at the very end. So you've got about an hour to figure out who has a phone or a tablet or a computer with them and fill this out. Does everybody have this written down or taken a screenshot of it or something? No? Can somebody take a screenshot of it and then we'll have this captured? Okay, I'm going to leave this up here while we just level set on what OneDrive is. Does anybody in the audience know what OneDrive is? Over here. How would you define it?
It's a cloud storage.
It's Microsoft's cloud storage, exactly. So this is similar to other cloud storage providers, but it's Microsoft's one answer to that cloud storage for files, for pictures, for videos, for things you care about that are probably on your computer. And my goal today, I will talk a little bit about Windows and kind of tease up what's coming, but I have 2 user groups that actually meet virtually. And so if you want to hear more about Windows than I'm going to be able to get to today, I have a group that we meet weekly on Wednesday afternoons online that you are more than welcome to join. And we actually store the previous meetings in OneDrive. So it's another use of OneDrive cloud storage. You can actually review the videos of the last 2 meetings we've had and upcoming meetings if you can't make those on Wednesdays. It's a weekly meeting talking everything about Windows and upcoming Windows features. So we'll talk about that as well. OneDrive is cloud storage. It is also cloud storage that can be used by you as an individual for free. Microsoft gives you this free storage per email account that you set up, either an email account that ends in Outlook, that ends in Hotmail, that ends in Live, I think is still a valid address. So you can have your name and last name at hotmail.com or at outlook.com or at live.com. You can set those up if you don't already have them. But each of those email accounts, if you weren't aware, has free cloud storage attached to it. So if I asked you what the most important thing to you from a computer file perspective was, what would that be in your personal life?
Security.
Security is probably the most important thing, right? But what do you want to secure? Is it your bank statements? Is it your family photos? Is it your music collection?
Photos and music.
It's photos for me. Photos is number 1. Videos that are personal is probably number 2 because I care about that. I have my kid's first birthday on video. I have things that I care about on video or photos. So, you know, it's one or the other, but those are the 2 main categories for me. So if I look at OneDrive, on any type of application or device, I can go to my OneDrive, and this is my personal OneDrive. I'm going to switch over to my work OneDrive. I'm going to look at the photos that I've uploaded there. Oh, look at these. I may or may not have taken some pictures from the back, so I can document for Microsoft I wasn't talking to myself this morning. These photos, because they are now uploaded from my phone, which is an Android phone, to cloud storage, can be accessed from that Chromebook that I brought, my Windows 10 device that I brought, my Mac computer that I brought, my iPad that I brought. It doesn't matter what device I'm on. They're available from anywhere, from any device. And I brought along a friend who has a very fun little joke of the day. Have you guys had a joke of the day yet?
No.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Ed Gallagher. Ed Gallagher is a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and that is a distinction that you get based on Microsoft recognizing your work within the community. So if you haven't met Ed, Ed is probably as important, if not much more important than me to know, because he has been doing this for, is it 13 years now?
12 years in
12 years at MVP. So Ed Gallagher has a fun little joke of the day, as well as can talk about how he's using OneDrive. Ed?
It's always great to be introduced with. It's great to be introduced with, hey, I've got a joke for you, and so if the joke falls flat, I'm going to blame him. OneDrive, just want to make everything clear, OneDrive is not a nickname for a par 3 golf course, okay?
I told you it'd work.
I came up with that before I had a full cup of coffee this morning, so I'm going to use that as my excuse. Anyway, I've been using OneDrive and its precursor, what it was named before OneDrive, ever since it first came out. And I pretty much store everything up there. I got tired of having to deal with switching over from one computer to another when the old machine got too old to keep using, or something. I dropped it because I'm clumsy. and trying to rescue all my data. So I've got my computers now set up to automatically sync everything that I do up to OneDrive all the time. So if I, were to accidentally drop my computer into a chipper shredder and go out and buy a new one, all I have to do is register that with Microsoft OneDrive, and all of my stuff syncs down automatically to it. Same with my phone. If I want to get to anything from my phone, it just, I have instant access to it as long as I've got a signal. And the thing that I like most about it is the whole idea of photo syncing, where I can be out taking pictures of stuff and not have to try to remember that when I get home I got to hook it up to my computer and get all the stuff to sync, because as soon as my phone hits a wireless connection, it automatically syncs it up to OneDrive, and then also will automatically sync those pictures down to any computer that I have that's registered with OneDrive. So I don't even have to have access to the internet when I want to go look at the pictures on my computer. That's about all I got. So thank you very much, everybody.
I may or may not be working towards my MVP, which is that most valuable professional, and it's all involving your giving back to the community. So events like this help me show my reach or my involvement for free within community environments like user groups, computer clubs, that type of thing. I am traveling for work now, so I find myself all over the country visiting with people, and as opposed to doing the extremely technical stuff that I did before, I am now getting paid to help people be more productive on computers that they're using, which is one of the sweet spots that I always had interest in, but was not getting enough as a profession to do that full time. So that is my day job now, and my evening job is either the extremely technical stuff that I do, the same thing I'm doing during the day, how to be more productive with devices that you have in your life, and just building communities where I find myself. So next week I'll be in Washington, D.C., as well as Kansas City, Kansas, and figuring out where we're doing the user group physically. I think it's in Kansas City on Wednesday afternoon, but it will be recorded as well as live, so you can join from anywhere. So on this iPad, I have the types of things that I care about. I've got storage, I've got pictures, I've got photos. And within OneDrive, I can use that application to pull up those files, to access those files, and most importantly to me, to share those files. How many of you have the pictures you care about and want to share those with the loved ones that are in the photos or that care about the photos too? Does that resonate with everybody? Yeah. How many of you don't have the photos that you care about, but wish you had the photos you care about? Meaning your kids or somebody else in your family or somebody that lives a long distance away has the photos of your nephew, your niece, your grandkids, your whatever the relationship is, and they're the owners of the photos. And in the past, what did they do? They'd send you pictures one at a time, maybe attached to email. Before computers, what did they do? They printed out duplicates, right? Here's pictures. I remember my photos when I was growing up from school. Each year were, hey, we want the 8.5 or the 8 by 10 for the house, and we want pictures, wallet size, maybe some 5 by 7s for the grandparents. We did that with physical pictures and multiple copies.
My favorite is putting the pictures up on a photo sharing service that then next year goes out of business.
I talked about photo sharing businesses or places where you may have been doing sharing, but they're no longer in business, or they've been sold to somebody else, and that storage and those photos that you thought were good forever may or may not be good forever. There are other services within the internet that can provide that same type of benefit, but OneDrive is one of those. So if I look at my OneDrive, I have storage for myself, but you'll notice at the very bottom of the screen, right in the middle, I have shared. And what shared allows me to do is share with other people the files that I already have. And those don't have to be photos, but we can think of those as photos and videos as maybe what you care most about. But what if I were in charge of your computer club and taking a survey? I've just shown you one way that I can take surveys with OneDrive for Business or OneDrive Personal. This is my work, so it's OneDrive for Business because it's a work account. OneDrive Personal, I can do the same thing with surveys. I can ask you a bunch of questions, and the questions that you answer become electronic. So I don't have somebody sending me a bunch of files or filling out a bunch of paper, and then having somebody else maybe have to figure out how to put this into a spreadsheet to, hey, is everybody okay with the slate of officers or the next meeting, or do we have the next meeting and who's presenting and what the topic is and all that type of information. You can have a survey or a form like I had to fill out to guess my daughter's name, and then behind that have the answers to that. And I can share those answers separately from you putting in the answers. So did anybody see anybody else's answers if you filled out the form this morning in the browser? You just fill this out, and the only thing you can do is guess what my daughter's name is. R-E-Y is part of her first name. You can provide me your name because you're going to be a little upset if you didn't put your name and you win. You can provide me your email address. That is optional. I don't need your email address to say, hey, it looks like Joe won or Joanne won or somebody else. And then if you got it correct, can I post your information? So you're giving me some information on what you want me to do with this longer term. And then at the bottom of the survey, you ask or you answer if you'd like to receive additional information by email. Those are the required fields. I need to know what you want me to do with your information longer term, because you provided me potentially at least your name. And then I also need to know whether you would like me to provide you other tips and tricks by email. And by answering those two questions, I just clean up the spreadsheet. If you told me, I don't want you to contact me, I don't want anything but my first name, I just clean up the spreadsheet so I'm not storing your last name and your email address longer term. So these are super easy to create in OneDrive. Do you guys have use cases for this? Show of hands. How many people collect information or run surveys? Anybody? One person. So we will not have everybody learn about this, but we are doing the same thing with OneDrive and creating a user group around this that will also be online as well as in person. So I can take that as a topic and point you to either the file that shows you how to create them or a session where we're going to create the surveys. What I would like to do is introduce you to Twitter, if you are not aware of it. How many folks use Twitter in the room? Just show of hands. Besides me, I think I have 5 potential followers. That's a very low bar from a standpoint of how many people are here, hence the picture. Well, Twitter is one of those websites that allows you to add people and search for things that you care about. And so I can type something like S-T-I-L-L-D-R-E-Y, which is me, S-T-I-L-L-D-R-E-Y. And this is my information. So if you're not sure if you're on my channel, you'll see my picture from Microsoft's Ignite conference at the top. You'll see a very small picture of me presenting in Chicago in 2015. And you'll see tips and tricks, as well as other things. I love horror movies, so my horror movie posts apparently are almost as popular, if not more so, than my OneDrive and computer topics. But the whole idea of Twitter is, similar to Facebook, you can communicate with people using the platform. The main difference for me and why I'm using Twitter is the 5 people that raised their hands can go ahead and connect with me if they want to. You can find Still Dre, S-T-I-L-L-D-R-E-Y, and you can say follow, and then my information will pop up, similar to being friends on Facebook. Think of it that way. The thing I like about Twitter is if you have a browser similar to how I had you go to fill out the survey, you can just type in, without having an account, twitter.com/, /STILLDREY. And you are now sitting, viewing my information. Notice at the top, log in or sign up. If you don't have a Twitter account you want, it's very easy to sign up. It's more difficult to figure out what Twitter is. I've had an account over 10 years, and I had it for 3 or 4 years and had no idea what it was for or where it would be valuable to me. But the first link that I have here is a place where you can find a public folder where I have put some of the information, like the PowerPoints and the pictures that I've taken today. And this is shared with anyone that chooses to find it. I don't have to add you, I don't have to give you permissions. You have read access to PowerPoints, to files, to other things, just by knowing about this location and hitting it in a browser.
So that's a public site as opposed to the private site.
Right. So OneDrive, the other thing to emphasize, whether it's for work or personal, starts private. It's for you and you only to start with. But it's very easy for me to change it and say this started with me personally, but I care about these pictures, and I know other people care about these pictures. But these pictures are of kids, either my kids, somebody in my family's kids, maybe other people's kids. And if you're like me, you may get feedback if you post pictures of other people's children. You know, they don't like those necessarily being public. With OneDrive, you can decide if the sharing is public like this, everybody and anybody can get to these files and view them, or I can say I want to share these with specific people, and then it's not public. Did you just send me an email about it? Awesome, look at that. It's like he's a plant, or like we talked about this beforehand.
What's your name again?
So Ed just sent me an email, and I saw it pop up here about my pictures. Here's my photos in OneDrive. And Ed, I'm assuming you don't mind if I share your contact information publicly?
No.
Awesome. So this is Ed's information. If you want to take a picture of this, you could take a picture of this and you have Ed's contact information. This is another way that OneDrive allows you to do things. How many times have you been sitting somewhere and you see something that you wish you had a representation of? Oh, I heard about this Ed Gallagher guy, and I wish I had his contact information. From my phone, I can take a picture of what's on a screen like this, even from a location like off here to the side, and OneDrive can do a good job of fixing that for me. So I go into my OneDrive app, and I might get dangerous here. We're going to see if this works. I think it should. If I turn on my Office Lens would be the other thing, but I'm going to try to show OneDrive first, and then I can show Office Lens too, if I can figure out how to flip my camera around. Okay, I guess it doesn't happen. So we'll see if you guys can see this or not. So here's my phone. I can do a scan here in OneDrive. And then I can tell it what type of information I'm providing. Here I want to take a picture of a whiteboard. And then what I can do is from here, where this is really off center, I can take a picture of that from my phone. And what OneDrive does for me, OneDrive goes ahead and tries to take the picture and tighten the picture up so that I can see the information from the picture, even though it was off center. There's another program that Microsoft has that's in the App Store for your phone. It's called Office Lens. So if you want that same kind of functionality for business cards, for PowerPoint presentations, for whiteboards, physical whiteboards, and you want to capture that digitally, Office Space Lens is another application that does that. If I click on this link that Ed sent me, I am taken to a shared location. And is this the folder you shared with me, or is this?
Yeah, camera one.
Awesome.
Next week. We're ready to go.
And so these are Ed's pictures that he has shared. Have you given me read access to them?
Yeah.
Cool.
If I can to show the syncing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a fresh picture here with my phone, and because I have my phone set up to sync automatically up to the system there, because I have my phone set up to sync automatically up to that, let me go ahead and just take the shot. There we go. In just a couple of seconds, you should see a second crowd shot show up there. Depending upon the refresh on your...
Right. Yeah, if I have it set up to refresh or not.
But it'll pop up there in a moment.
Yeah. So what this allows me to do is everything that Ed has shared with me and everything subsequent that Ed shares with me, we don't have to every single picture say, you have access to that picture and this picture and that picture. It's now set up where I can actually get to these. Even more importantly than this, and I believe this is in the consumer as well as the business, is the expiration link. I think that's in the personal if you pay for the service, correct?
I believe that's...
Yeah. So in the personal OneDrive storage, it's free. But what if you wanted to provide this information or this connection for somebody for a period of time, as opposed to just forever? Ed forgets about this, puts up other pictures that maybe I shouldn't see or he didn't think he was sharing with me. This link is good for as long as I use it, and Ed has that sharing link available. If you pay for OneDrive, there's like a premium service, if you will, you can set up expiration to links. So imagine if I wanted to say, here's the computer club agenda through the end of the year, but if it's after the end of the year, I don't want to have to go back and remember to delete that share. You could set up an expiration for whatever the example is, pictures, videos, information that maybe becomes stale and that you want people to access more recent information. You can just say, after the end of the year, nobody can use the service anymore.
Dan?
Question?
After a certain period of time, if you didn't want them to be able to access it, could you unshare that?
Yes, so the question was, after a certain amount of time, can you unshare? So you can go back through OneDrive and you can actually look at what you've shared and you can manage that as well.
You want to try refreshing that screen, see if that shows up?
Sure.
And then...
there it is. So there's the most recent one. So the idea is, as soon as my device either refreshes, or if I have it in a browser where it's doing a refresh periodically, or if these are my files, I would see updates to my files practically real time. The other thing that OneDrive does by default is it can capture previous versions of files. So have you ever had a computer file that you were working on and something goes wrong with the file? Like it's a Word file, and does anybody here have cats? How many cat owners are in the audience? Much fewer than I imagined. I have 3 cats, and that's 3 more than I had before Sam graduated from high school. We also have a dog now. The animals are getting bigger. My daughter is looking for a horse now. I'm really worried about what we're going to have when our daughter graduates. And notice how I have not said my daughter's name, which is, I think, a record for me. I usually give away the answer to the quiz by saying my daughter's name. And your involvement in the quiz doesn't matter whether you guessed her name correctly or not. I just want to capture that information so I have reference on what people are guessing my daughter's name is. Okay, so we've looked at different ways we can use OneDrive. I could also use previous versions. Not now, I'm giving a presentation. So if I wanted to save a file like this, it's already saved to my OneDrive. I can open in other apps, I can work with the file, I can do different things with the file, but I can also get to previous versions of the file if I damaged the file or did something to it. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my Mac computer, and I also have a large Windows tablet.
Check out the batteries. 75%, look at that.
So this is a computer running Windows 10. So that's a computer running Windows 10. It's got a built-in battery. Lenovo has decided not to sell these anymore, which is very upsetting to me because it's the coolest computer I own. And that is not a giveaway because I still use that computer. So this other computer that I'm going to switch to is a Mac, a MacBook Pro. And that MacBook Pro has OneDrive on it. So similar to, I'm dropping stuff and breaking remotes and all sorts of stuff here. There we go. Okay, so we're back on my computer here. Thank you. And you'll notice up here in my Mac, I have a OneDrive program that is synchronizing files once I have internet access. I did set this one up on the internet. And within the Macintosh, under my Finder, I have a folder called Brainstorm. And within that folder, I have the files that will synchronize based on files that I've told OneDrive to sync. So if I go over here, and I look at that first name file, it was updated 39 seconds ago. Why do you think it was updated 39 seconds ago? I haven't even gotten into this Excel file. Any thoughts?
People have been submitting
Surveys?
Because this is the file behind the survey that you guys have filled out. So somebody filled it out 39 seconds ago. That's great. That means people are using it. I was worried I'd get here and it'd say hasn't been updated since last week, which isn't as compelling a demo, right? So if I access the file first name on my Mac, and it opens in Excel for the Mac, we'll do discard my changes. This should be the synced file, we'll see. If it isn't, I'll pull it up in the browser. There we go. Wow. So here are the changes. And I can see people that filled out information, gave me their names, guessed her name. And what is my daughter's name? My daughter's name is Audrey. I mention that almost every time I'm here. But look at these guesses. This is what I wanted to prove. Is most people start with something that starts with R-E-Y. They think about Raina, Ray Ann, Ray Lynn, Ray something. And some people come up with Aubrey or Audrey or Andrea, because I didn't say the letters had to be in order if you get creative with spellings. There's all sorts of Avery, I haven't seen that, or Avery yet. There are different things that could be my daughter's first name, but I want to start documenting what those guesses are so that I can provide this is the number one guess, and it's not just from memory. Rayanne, I think, is the number one guess, and I'm just throwing it out. But I now have everybody's information, but more importantly, I have your privacy settings here. So there's somebody that says, yes, you can use my information, but my first name only. There's somebody here that says, no, I don't want to receive for future tips. And they only want me to store their first name. So what can I do? This is a spreadsheet. I can go back to that person's email address, and it's a spreadsheet. They've already provided me the information. I can delete that information. And I can say, I don't want to store this person's email address because they don't want to hear back from me, and they only want me using their first name. So I can clean up the information so that I'm not storing personal information that somebody said, hey, I want to win that Chromebook, but I don't want you emailing me or using my last name publicly. So this is a way to still do the privacy part of it, but collect information. There are people that want to connect, that want to learn more about, OneDrive or computers, Windows, those types of things. This is the easiest way I have found to start capturing that and building that community. So that Excel file provides me that information, and we've got plenty of people. We'll do the giveaway here shortly. Questions so far?
More in a few minutes.
I can access those files from a Mac computer, from the Finder, so you can configure it as a program. I can also access those files from any browser. So if I go to Outlook, I'm using my weird keyboard, outlook.office.com or outlook.com, and I log in as an account, I can use this to get to the files if the internet is cooperating. There we go. So if I log in as Brainstorm, I can get to those same files that we saw. And I'm going to switch to my easy keyboard, like everybody else in the world uses. I'm going to tell it to stay signed in. And now I'm in my emails. I can see the message from Ed. I could access that here, I think, from a browser. If I'm in a browser already, it will stay in a browser. So that same folder that we saw within the Mac, or sorry, the iPad.
Except,
Oh, that I'm logged in.
no,
What is it?
I took away
Ed took away my permissions! He's doing my demos before I asked him to.
Sorry.
No, that's perfect, because that came up. Somebody asks, am I going to have access to every picture Ed ever takes? I am not. He took away my permissions. So that is something you can do manually for free. You don't have to pay for it. The automatic expiration, where Ed wants to say, this is good for a day, but I won't have to remember I gave access to Dan to my whole camera roll tomorrow, or the next day, or the next week. You can set up that with the premium service. So I have access to this up here in the upper left-hand corner. Does anybody know what this is called? On Office 365 or?
Sandwich?
It's called either hamburger menus or where they have 3 lines. This is typically called either the Rubik's Cube or the waffle by people. The official name is the app launcher. And this is where,
That's the waffle.
I call it the waffle or the Rubik's Cube, just so we're clear. This is where the other Microsoft Office 365 free or business applications live. So the same place if I were using my personal account, I have a OneDrive under there. And then under OneDrive, what I want to show you is how easy it is to find the things that you've shared or to share something. If I go under here on the left, so I'm in the browser on the left-hand side, shared, these are all of the files that have been shared with me from Brainstorm, the company I work for.
It's not clear.
Shared by me is where I would go back to remember, oh, I forgot I shared that.
Oh.
Or I didn't realize somebody still had access to that. So I can go to a file like win.1 PowerPoint, shared with people, and I can look at who has access to this. This has been shared with guests. And I can even manage the access to that. Oh, that's good. Anyone with a link can view this. I can stop sharing right here. So it's that quick and that easy to stop sharing if it's been shared. How easy is it to share something? Let's say I want to share something with other people. So my files, these are all of the files in the folders that I have set up at Brainstorm. Anything that I don't file, that I just put into OneDrive, falls in this first area out here. If I want to share a file, you'll see this little sharing icon next to the files, no matter what they are. Pictures, PDFs, videos, whatever it is. If I just want to share that one thing, I click here, and it brings up a dialog box to say, who are you sharing with, and what do you want to happen when you share? Specific people? Only those people have access. Everyone? Everyone has access. Allow editing, because I'm using the business, I can say there's an expiration. I want this to expire in a couple of years, in a day, in a month, whatever. So it's very easy for me to set up those parameters. If I want to share, the way that I shared that adopt folder is I did the sharing here instead of to the individual files. So everything under the folder becomes read access to anybody on the internet by sharing the folder. So if you wanted to share with family, you could call the folder family photos or family share the folder, and then anything in the folder, the people have the same access rights they have to the folder to all the individual files or subsequent folders. So you could create a family share and then photos and pick photos and videos and music, whatever types of things you're sharing with your family, they're in that folder. The people that you've given access to have access to it. And it's all online. The other thing I can do is I can download from here. I have a number of Office presentations for tips and tricks. If I wanted to share some of the Outlook tips and tricks, I can right up here, highlight the file, and then choose to download the file. And it will download the presentation. This presentation is over 200 megabytes. So it's pulling down a 200 megabyte file. Maybe I don't want 200 megabytes coming across your Wi-Fi. Because I'm using OneDrive, and Office has Office Online, PowerPoint, Excel, Word, the applications, I can actually show you the PowerPoint from here without having to download it. I don't have to take that 200 meg plus download to actually show you the presentation. This is another way that if I came here and maybe on the way in, just like I dropped a device up here, I dropped my iPad. My iPad just shattered. Uh-oh, I'm planning to show you guys OneDrive. What I do? I grab any of the other devices that I brought with me, and I can do the same presentation from there.
Or borrow one from someone else.
Yes, or borrow one from somebody else. All I need to do is get to those shared locations, or authenticate if it's me, put in my credentials, and I have access to that information. How are we doing on time?
Keep going.
Okay, how much? 10 minutes? 5 minutes? 15? Okay, good. I don't want to keep everybody here till lunchtime. Everybody. Why is he still going? Question, yes. Yes.
When you talked about sharing files, somebody included you in a share.
Yes.
Can you turn around and share that with other people, even though that file is not your file?
Great question. So the question was, Ed shared information with me. Can I turn around and share that with other people? Go ahead, Ed.
Only if I originally shared it as publicly available to everybody, because that's just a link. And if he shared that link with somebody else, then anybody he shares that with can get to it. But if I share that only with him, then it's tied to actually his email address when he tries to connect into it. So in that case, he can't, unless he also shares his, email and password with other people.
Can he download those files to his OneDrive and then share that folder with somebody?
Yes, he could download those files and share that with somebody else, yes. Because if you have read access to something, then you have the ability to download.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, if I had access to download, I could download them and then share them, or, you know, put them on a thumb drive or something else. They are working on, and I'm not sure where this fits in or where it's available, they are working on view only, where you don't have the ability to download it.
Yeah, that's coming.
Yeah. Question here?
Yeah, when you want to share something, let's say with me, you would send me an email, and you send a Twitter and a Facebook too, or optional?
Yes. So you want to ask the question?
If you're sending something to me if you're sharing something with me, you would send me, I assume, an email or a Twitter or a Facebook that has a link in it?
Yes.
And then I can access you, but you wouldn't know my email address necessarily if you sent it via Facebook, would you?
Great question.
But it would be tied to your
Yes.
Facebook account in that case.
Yes.
So, Microsoft has put on the back end multiple different ways of authenticating that it's you that's accessing it. So it's tied to one of your identities, whichever identity it is that he's sharing with you.
Yeah. So this tweet that is public, so if you go to twitter.com on your device /STILLDREY, this really long BSI online -my.sharepoint.com is read access to my folder, Adopt, that folder that I shared with anybody, read access. So you can download from here, you can view files from here, you can see photos that I may have posted, whatever else. This is read access to anybody that discovers this. And there is currently no expiration. So it's good now and it's good next year, the year after. So to your question, if I shared this in Facebook, email, somebody forwarded it, and Ed made this point too, because this is public and I don't care who goes here, anybody that discovers this or forwards it to somebody else, you say, hey, I saw this really cool presentation. Have you heard about OneDrive? Here's information that's publicly available for anyone that wants it. And I could change that. I could say, ooh, I didn't realize I put that up there, and either remove the file, that's sensitive. I could remove the share, and then you can't get to any of these files until I create another share or do something else. And how many times has that happened to you? Has anybody received a file that you weren't supposed to receive? Yes. And then somebody sends another email immediately. Could you please delete the previous email attachment? That has happened to me more than once. I've been a Microsoft certified trainer for years, and this last spring, they had a conference and they sent around an Excel spreadsheet attachment that was supposed to be the agenda. And then almost immediately they said, please delete that spreadsheet we sent you. What's my psychological profile? Does anybody know what I did? I opened the original. I was like, how bad was this mistake in an Excel spreadsheet? Do I have everybody's credit card information? Do I have something really juicy and that I can blackmail all my fellow trainers with? All it was anybody similar to my form where I collected your information. It would be the same as if I accidentally put that somewhere public. If I sent that to everybody that I know in email, I am then providing your public information, your private information to other people that I shouldn't have. If I did that with OneDrive, how do you fix that? I sent you a link in OneDrive, similar to how Ed sent it to me. You just turn it off. It's the same thing Ed did. He sent me, and you saw, hey, here's all Ed's pictures. Let's see what he sent 2 weeks ago. I think it was your whole folder, right? But then he turned off access. So if I went back after this presentation, let's see what else Ed had in those folders, I don't have access anymore. To the point, if I had downloaded those pictures, I'd have access and I have them. But because it was sent as a file attachment, as opposed to a OneDrive link, the onus was on the receivers to please delete this spreadsheet. All it had was agendas and people, my name's Dan and I want to speak on this. Question or comment?
I'd like to talk about something kind of similar along those lines, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder.
Not at all.
Later. But have you been hearing about the email scams where they send you attachments that they try to get you to open, that'll then take over your computer and cause identity theft and all that kind of stuff? That goes away with this. Okay? I do not ever open up an email with an attachment on it anymore because of the dangers of doing that on my work machine, okay? So if I want to share something with another colleague, I don't send it as an attachment to an email, and they have to wonder, is this somebody impersonating it, or something bad going on there. I send them a link to the document in OneDrive, and that way they can choose to download it from there themselves, and they don't have to worry about the bad email with the affected attachment in it. Thanks.
Thank you.
And they can still copy that link and send it forward.
If I just shared it with their identity only, then that link wouldn't do any good to anybody else. If it's tied directly to their identity.
Okay.
If the document that I shared was shared publicly, then other people can get to it.
Got it.
But I can restrict that. Somebody else have a question? Yes?
Question?
Yeah, there's a question.
Okay, yeah.
I'm confused as to how you set that up. Would you go over that again, just from the, how do I do it? Do I go to OneDrive.com and then put your name in, or how do you do this?
Come into the computer club to one of the sessions.
Yeah.
And they'll walk you through the process.
I discovered a problem with OneDrive. Somebody sent me 2,000 photographs, shared them, and I set it up and it downloaded, and it downloads them to a zip file. Then I went to open the zip file and it said, that's an illegal file. And what happened was the file was larger than 3 gigabytes, which you're not allowed to do. But there's no warning that that's the case. It took me 2 days to figure this out.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and that actually kind of depends on a variety of different things. It depends on the computer that you're using. It depends on the limits that OneDrive has in place. They have increased the single file size now. Can't remember what the new single file size is. But
it's in the gigabytes.
Yeah, it's bigger than it was. But what you can do in that case is you highlight 20 files, download them as one batch. But to simplify the download process, if you select more than one item, it automatically in the back end puts it into a zip file for you to download.
The final thing, I'm showing you this from the Chromebook. I thought I was showing you, I'm not showing you. Where is my other screen here? There we go. Now I'm showing you. So I'm showing you this from the Chromebook that we're giving away. The Chromebook, I just have a browser. I go to Outlook.com or I log in as my email, and I can also search everything. Where is my mouse?
It was up at the top of the screen.
Is it up at the top?
Was, yeah.
It is up at the top.
Yeah, it's up
There,
at the top.
thank you.
There it is, yeah.
If I go to the search here, I can search for things like Sun City and prove to you that I've been here before, if you haven't heard me speak before. These are all the files in my OneDrive personal that I've presented before, 2011, 2014, other files that somewhere in the file have Sun City as autocomplete. So OneDrive personal can be that place that you have instantaneous capability to search and find things that you've shared before with people. So with that, we haven't talked much about Windows 10, but as I mentioned, Windows Insiders meets every single Wednesday, and the address for that, I have not shortened yet. Has anybody here heard of meetup.com? METTUP.com?
Yeah.
Both of these groups, the OneDrive enthusiasts group and the Windows Insiders Midwest group, are something you can find on Meetup. And Dave, can I send you information on that? You can get it out to folks?
Yep.
So if you'd like to sign up for those on Meetup, it will give you information about where we're presenting. I did put this one on Meetup. That's how Ed and maybe a couple other people may have found out about it. But the idea is Meetup allows you to meet in person, but also have like online capabilities. So we can definitely cover off on some other things like the upcoming editions of Windows. And I can point Dave to the previous discussions we've had on those. You have more than enough conversation on what's coming with Windows this fall and Defender and other topics there. Okay, go ahead.
We have a newsletter, and we can incorporate some of that into our newsletter.
Perfect, perfect.
This is one. Yeah, we can incorporate some of those pieces of information that Dan will send into our newsletter announcements.
Okay.
Questions?
Any questions? In the back? Great question. So what time do we meet on Wednesdays? It is not a specific time. It is based on what I'm doing and what time zone I'm in. So this last week it was 6:30 here, 5:30 mine. I was in Mountain in Utah this past week. Next week I'll be in Kansas City. So depending on how late I am working on Wednesday, I will schedule it. So the time kind of moves Wednesday afternoon to evening, depending on what I'm doing on Wednesday and where I find myself. And then I usually pick a physical location based on where I am. It might be a Microsoft store. There's one in Kansas City. So I may host it out of the Microsoft store in Kansas City if anybody's up for a road trip next week, besides me.
Dan, how much storage is free on OneDrive, and how much additional can you purchase?
5.
5 gigabytes?
I just
It's
saw
5
that.
gigabytes free, and then I don't know the tiers of the premium service or the amounts. I want to say it's in the
I get the.
1 terabyte?
I pay the 99 a
Okay.
year.
99 a year for 1 terabyte.
That included Office 365.
That's for Office 365, so you get much more than just
Right.
OneDrive.
And that's, and
You
I.
mentioned that
Computers, right?
you can set it up for more than one email. I currently don't even know which email it's in, but it's free. How do I take half of the pictures out to another email?
That's a great question. I have multiple free Hotmail accounts, and some of them I've had for years, some of them I've set up recently. I could set up another one right now. If you wanted to grab them, similar to the point that was made here where you grabbed like 2,000 pictures, was it? If you grab 100 pictures or 500 pictures, they zip those files or they zip those pictures if you download them, depending on how you download them. So the files might come down in a zip or a compressed file, and then that file could either be opened and then uploaded to another account, another free account, or you could just put the zip file into the free account. So the answer is you would open both OneDrives, either simultaneously or one at a time. From the one that has the photos or the information, you download all that, and then from the other one, you'd upload all that. Can you give me the use case on why you want to move them from one to the other?
Because my 2-year-old computer keeps sending me a message that your OneDrive is full, so please register for $4 a month and upgrade.
Okay, I gotcha. So you want to set it up so that it's using the other OneDrive that isn't full instead of signing up for the premium. Good point. There are ways you can do that. I would suggest probably bring that into the computer, what is it, lab? Computer Club lab, and have them look at it. That is something that you can configure. OneDrive is a program that you can install and then configure or change, and it's also a website that you can go to. So if the computer's telling you it's full, it's probably that sync client or that configuration on the computer that's full, that either you need to reconfigure or have somebody else help you reconfigure that so it doesn't say that it's full. Any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment. I know
Sure.
we're about to end, but please, if you're at a table, make sure you wipe it down and fold the tablecloth.
Good point.
Okay, I was just wondering, what is the advantage of OneDrive versus Google Photos if you wanted to store photos? Is it more, what is your feelings on that?
Yeah, if you don't mind it.
So what's a comparison between Google Cloud Storage and Microsoft Cloud Storage and others? To me, the biggest difference is the security. There have been multiple cases where Google's cloud offerings have been hacked and other kinds of things have occurred with those other offerings. But Microsoft is pretty rock solid when it comes to their security. Microsoft Corporation is actually the #2 most attacked entity in the world, #1 being the U.S. government. And as such, their security is absolutely mind-blowing, all the safeguards that they put in place.
The Google Photos also get reduced in size.
They get compressed?
Yeah, you don't compress, please.
Okay, so the Google Photos, when you move them up there, get reduced in size, whereas this stores everything in its original intact format.
If you pay for Google, you get.
You pay for Google when you get the I'd also like to go back and mention something that this gentleman talked about, was that he's actually signed up to the Office 365 Home Edition, which is $99 a year for a family. And that supports, I believe, 5 users.
5 computers.
With 5 computers
And
each.
5 devices.
Yeah, and 5 mobile devices, 5 computers, 5 mobile devices each. And with that, you get a 1 terabyte of storage per person.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the giveaway, I'm going to do something simple and quick. I'm going to go with my wife's favorite number and my favorite number combined. So number 37 is the winner, because it was somebody that filled it out today. Ray Ann. And is Muriel still here? Or has she left?
Oh, if you leave, you don't.
What's your next favorite number?
Actually, you didn't follow
38.
Oh, it's true though, you know that.
Can you guys find her? If I leave this for her?
Actually not.
Wait a minute, did she put her email address in there?
She did. Yeah, I can email her. Or you guys can.
We can trace it through the email.
And she told me I can email.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you for attending, and thanks for filling this out.
Thank you.
Ken?